Did you know that your story's setting can do the heavy lifting when it comes to world building? If you're currently world building, then stick around for some tips on how to world build using setting. Let's get started! Hey guys, Nour here, and welcome back to my channel. For those visiting for the first time, hello, I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. Be sure to subscribe for weekly writing advice videos. So if you're anything like me, you love world building, and utilizing your story's setting will make your life so much easier. Because instead of writing a ton of exposition to world build, and then deleting all the exposition because it's overwhelming, you use the setting to do a big part of the world building for you. Now, I know writing the setting can be stressful for some writers, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, I want you to think of the setting as an extension of world building. And here's how to tackle it. Tip number 1, portray your world through the small details. Let's say you have a magical world. Instead of having characters explain how the magic works, which can feel too expository, you could show how everything works by highlighting the setting. For example, instead of light bulbs, maybe everything is lit up with some sort of floating orbs of light. And of course, it's important for characters of that world to see this as normal because it's just another facet of their normal world. So you don't want to make it seem fantastical to the characters unless they're new to that world. When you describe these details, the reader understands that this world has magic without you saying so. Of course, the same is true if you're describing a world that doesn't have magic. Let's say you're describing a dystopian world. How you portray the setting will certainly make it obvious to the reader that this is a rundown world of the future. Tip number 2, have the setting show backstory. This one is my favorite tip. The setting can be a tool that tells a story. For example, if war took place at some point prior to the start of the story, you could show this war's backstory through the setting. Maybe your main character walks past a series of collapsed buildings where people are trying to rebuild. Describing that along with small details, like signs of the people who lived there before, is a great way to create backstory. Maybe your main character finds a children's book in the rubble. This says so much about the past without your main character saying who died in the war. And the same can be true of any setting. Have the little details create a backstory in order to world build. And tip number 3, show political or economic differences through extremes in the setting. Another way to world build using setting is by showing how 2 or more different groups of people live. For example, if you have lower and upper classes, describing where they live and how extreme those settings look like can say so much about the world they're in. Instead of saying one group is poor and one group is rich, you just show their settings. Or let's say you have 2 opposing tribes in the middle of the desert. Maybe one tribe uses a tent while the other tribe has a cabin with running water. Showing their differences through the setting can say so much about their world. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to know, what's your world building process like? Do you world build as you write? Or do you plan all the world building details before you start writing? Let me know in the comments. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. And before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frayne, Alan J. Early, and Noah Kulfanti from my shout out tier over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate you. And remember, Nour for president!